Hi. Hello, Assemblymember Monning. I am Toby Ames. It is an honor to meet you.
Thank you, Toby. It's an
Welcome.
honor to meet you as well.
Thank you for coming to this breakfast and support people with disabilities. I have a few questions for you. What is your job?
Thank you, Toby. It's really an honor to be with you this morning. I serve in the California State Assembly. I represent parts of Monterey County, Santa Cruz County, and southern Santa Clara County. I represent about 500,000 residents of this Central Coast region, and my job in the California State Legislature is to review proposed legislation, to introduce legislation that can lead to making laws to create protections for people, to protect the environment, and one of our big challenges is working on the state budget.
Okay. What is this breakfast important to you?
Well, first and foremost, it's a chance to meet with people like you and other members of the network of San Andreas Regional Centers, and with members of the community of people dealing and living with disabilities. And I just welcome the opportunity to get better acquainted, to talk about some of the issues that you're facing, and I'm also looking forward to speaking about some of the work I'm doing in Sacramento, trying to protect funding for these very important, critical programs.
Okay. Can you talk a little about your work with Cesar Chavez?
Yes, today's actually a very significant day in the history of the United Farm Workers and Cesar Chavez. Today, April 23rd, was the date that Cesar passed away in 1993. I had the honor of working with him in the 1970s and the 1980s as an organizer with the United Farm Workers Union, and then as a law student, and then as a staff attorney. I worked with Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta, all over the state of California. We worked to create greater protections for farm workers from pesticides. We worked to get workers the right to organize a farm workers union, and I did a lot of work during that time in Santa Cruz, as well as in the Salinas Valley, the Central Valley, the Coachella Valley. And as I said, I did a lot of work on cases where farm workers were exposed to pesticides, families that were poisoned. I did a lot of work in the courts as a lawyer on representation cases, on immigration cases, and labor cases. And if you recall, Cesar Chavez, in addition to being a union leader, he was a strong believer of the power of nonviolence. He was a follower of Gandhi and Martin Luther King. He was a vegetarian. He often practiced fasting, going without food for days at a time, to bring public attention to the plight of farm workers and the suffering of farm workers. In many ways, what he did for farm workers is what the San Andreas Regional Centers are doing for people with disabilities. It's organizing people, providing a voice, standing up for the rights of people living with disabilities. And I see a lot of parallels between the history of Cesar Chavez and the Farm Workers Union and the work of people gathered here today. So I appreciate you asking that question. I learned a lot in my work with Cesar Chavez, and not a day goes by that I don't think of those lessons and the ongoing struggles for poor people and for people living with disabilities.
Okay. What does community membership means to you?
Well, I really like that question because it's a question that's not asked very often, and I gave some thought to it. What does community membership mean? To me, community membership, first and foremost, means identifying as part of a community and then taking part and participating in that community. So in the political world, people sometimes define their community as being a member of the Democratic Party or the Republican Party or the Green Party. The community that gathers here today is a community of families and individuals living with disabilities who have organized a community to both build friendship and brotherhood and sisterhood, but also to be a voice with government to make sure that they're receiving support for housing, for learning, and adequate funding for the programs that sustain this community. So to me, community membership, it's exactly what you're doing today. The very fact that you're here, that you're interested in capturing this interview for the media, that to me is community participation. I think many people in the broader community aren't very familiar with the struggles, the contributions of people living with disabilities. So this organization, this community, is well positioned to help educate the broader community as to the contributions, particularly in the workforce, particularly in the intellectual community, and in the community of compassion and building friendships. To me, that's what community is all about. So I appreciate that question.
Thank you for joining me for this interviewing. Have you enjoyed your breakfast?
Yes, I'm looking forward to the breakfast with all of you, and especially appreciate this opportunity to meet with you and the preparation that you've done in advance of this interview. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Great, Toby, thank you. Nice job, man. You did a great job.
Thank you.
And thank you for your help.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay.